Hi boys and girls, it's Mr. Yates, and in this video we're going to be giving you the directions on how to convert customary units of capacity. And customary again means that it is the units of measurement that we use here in the United States and practically nowhere else in the world. So when we talk about customary, it basically means the American units of measurement. When we talk about capacity, it means how much liquid can something hold. And I wanted to go over some of the customary units of capacity so you just get familiar with what they are. First of all, we have the cup, and I have a little drawing right over here. This is about the size of Mr. Yates' cup of tea that he has in the afternoon. The other unit of measurement that we talk about a lot is pint, and that's bigger than a cup. And a pint is usually about the size of the milk cartons that you see at lunch. When you get a hot lunch, you get a little pint of milk. The other unit of capacity we talk a lot about is quart. And a quart, I use a little window cleaner bottle here as an example for you to sort of see. Quart is bigger than a pint, but then smaller than the last one that we talk about here, which is the gallon. And the most common thing you see a gallon of is you see a gallon of milk, or you might see your parents fill up gallons of gas in the car. It's not as easy to remember how many cups are in a pint and how many pints are in a quart and how many quarts are in a gallon by multiplying or dividing by 10 like we do in the metric system. So we have to use a chart to help us. And a chart is, there's a couple ways we could do a chart. I'm going to show you the one I like. And you're welcome to use that one if there's other ways you want to try it. I also have the conversion chart on class resources under math, so you can look at that. I'm going to draw what I call the big G chart right here and show you the one that I like to use. It always, even now, helps me to remember how many cups are in a pint, how many pints are in a quart, and how many quarts are in a gallon. So let me get started and show you the big G chart. Here's how I make a big G chart so I can remember how to convert customary units of capacity. First thing I do is I make a big G, and it's good to make a good size G because you're going to be putting stuff inside of it. I make a capital G, and my G stands for gallon. And so we're going to be looking at what units of measurement make up 1 gallon. So inside the gallon, we're going to start to put 4 quarts, or 4 Qs. Each Q is equal to 1 quart. And this helps me to remember that there are 4 quarts in 1 gallon. Then what I do is I take a look at my next unit of measurement that's smaller, and that would be the pint. Now pints are, we use a P, and I'm going to make it big enough so I could put a little something in that P when I'm done. I'll be putting my cups in there, so I want to make the P big enough to remind me I'm going to put some cups in there. So I put my gallon, my quarts, and now I'm going to put 2 pints inside each quart. I want to make those P's big enough so I can put in cups later on. So now I remind myself that I've got 2 pints in 1 quart, 4 quarts in 1 gallon. And I can also figure out here, I can count up all the P's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and know that there are 8 pints in 1 gallon. Okay, the final thing I want to do is I want to add cups, and I want to add cups inside each gallon, or each pint. So there are 2 cups in each pint. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit more here so you can see what I'm doing. So what I'll do is I'll put a C, I'll put 2 C's inside each pint. That means that there's 2 cups inside each pint. Now what I like about this chart is you can write it anytime you want to. If you can't look it up on the internet, like when you're taking a test in school, you can always use this on your scrap sheet so that you can just write it down and it'll help you. So to remind yourself again that there are 2 cups in each pint, 2 pints in each quart, and 4 quarts in each gallon. So now that I have a big G chart, I am ready to start converting some units of measurement. And what I'm going to do is take a look at my first one right here. I'm going to convert 3 pints into blank cups. Now, the first part of the converting is to do what we've been doing all along, which is to think about whether we're going from a bigger unit of measurement to a smaller, or a smaller unit of measurement to a bigger one. So let's take a look. Says here, let me look. Let me clear these out. Okay, so it looks like I'm going from pints to cups. And the first thing I want to look at right here is pints. So I'm going to write down here my first conversion, which will be 3 pints equals blank cups. Now I'm going from, on my chart here, I look for the P's. The P's are bigger than the cups, which are C. So I know that pints are the bigger unit of measurement. And I'm going to smaller. Now remember, when I go shakes, buys, donuts, that means smaller to bigger divide. So when I go from a bigger unit of measurement to a smaller unit of measurement, I am going to multiply. And that's what I'll do. I'll take my 3 pints and I'm going to multiply it by the number of cups that are in 1 pint. Let's go look at my big G chart here. Looks like inside each pint there are 2 cups. So that means I'm going to multiply 3 pints by 2. And that'll equal 6. So my 6 is the number of cups that are in 3 pints. So 3 pints is equal to 6 cups. Let's go and try another one here to take a look at what we're doing. Let's go down here to number 8. On this one, we're going to be looking at 24 quarts equals 6 gallons. Or actually, I'm not sure. I think it's 6, but there. Kind of did it ahead of time there, but let's go through the thought process. Okay, so we take 24 quarts, and I'm going to see how many gallons that is. I'm looking at my chart here, and my quarts, which are right here, are inside the big G, which are the gallons. So that means that quarts are smaller than gallons. So I'm going from smaller to a bigger unit of measurement. And this one I can remember, shakes, buys, donuts. So I'm going to be dividing here. I'm going to divide. So we'll go ahead and take a look at, first of all, the unit that I'm dividing is going to be the 24 quarts. I'm going to be dividing it by the number of quarts that are in 1 gallon. So I look up here at my big G chart, and here's the gallon. And I look at my Q's. There are 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 quarts in 1 gallon. So I just go ahead down here and I'll take 24 and divide it by 4. And that's 6. I think I just slipped that out earlier. So we know that there are now 6 gallons in 24 quarts of whatever. Let me try one more. I think you get the gist of this. Let's take a look at number 10. Now, number 10 down here is 3 quarts equals blank cups. So let me write down my 3 quarts equals blank cups. Now, the first thing I want to do is I want to see if quarts are bigger than cups. So I'll go look at my G chart. And it looks like here that quarts are inside of pints, or pints are inside of quarts, and cups are inside of pints. So these little C's are cups. That means that cups are smaller than quarts. So I'll be going from a bigger unit of measurement to a smaller. And I know that when I go from smaller to bigger, I divide. So when I go from bigger to smaller, I multiply. So what I'll do is I'll take my 3, which is the number of quarts that I have. I'm going to multiply that by the number of cups that are in 1 quart. Let's go up to my chart. Now I notice I'm going to look at a quart, which is the big Q right here. I notice that there are 2 pints, but I'm not finding out about pints. I want to find out about how many cups are in 1 quart. So what I'll do is I'll count the number of C's that are inside the big Q. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I now know that there are 4 cups equals to 1 quart. And I can use that information down here. I'll go down here and do that. I'm going to use that information. 4 cups equals 1 quart to multiply. So I'll take 3 quarts times 4, which are the number of cups in 1 quart, and I'll end up with 12. So I have 3 quarts equals 12 cups. Let's go and check on some examples of word problems so that we can see what to do with those. Now here the question is, Seth made 4 quarts of fruit punch for a birthday party. How many cups fruit punch did he make? So if you can see right here, we are changing the unit of measurement. What we're going to do is we're going to be going from, it looks like right here, we have 4 quarts, and now we want to find out how many cups of that punch is. So we'll go ahead and do some converting. But before we convert, make sure that you write an answer sentence down. So I'll put here, how many cups of fruit punch did he make? So I'll say, he made blank cups of fruit punch. I'll be going from quarts today, or in this word problem, so I'll be taking my 4 quarts, which is how many quarts he has of fruit punch. So if you can see it right here, I took that 4 quarts right there and I turned it right to here. So what I'd like you to do is, I'm just going to clear this out so it's a little bit easier to see. So we're going to put here cups. Now the first thing I do is after that I want to make sure if I'm going from smaller to bigger or bigger to smaller, and I'll have quarts as my unit of measurement. I'm going to cups, and quarts are bigger than cups. We're going from bigger to smaller, and that means that we are going to multiply. So we'll multiply our 4, which is the number of quarts that we have. And we're looking right here, it looks like, oh, we already wrote it down earlier. 4 cups equals 1 quart. There's 4 C's in here, just like we did before. We'll multiply that 4 quarts by 4, which is the number of cups in 1 quart, and that'll get us 16, which means that 16 cups is how much fruit punch he made. He made 16 cups of fruit punch. One thing I want you to do is take a look at number 17, because you're going to be getting a similar type of question in your assignments today. So I want you to take a look at it. If you measure the amount of water you drink in a day, would cups or pints give you a more precise measurement? Precise is the word I really want you to focus in on here, because that is a word we may not have talked about before in class, but I want to make sure you know what it means. Precise means more accurate, the closer to the actual amount. Smaller units of measurement will give you a more precise measurement of exactly how much water or liquid is inside anything versus a larger unit of measurement. So Now, boys and girls, when I talk about precision or being precise in our measurement, it basically means that what you do is you take a unit of measurement that is going to be able to measure something without having to use decimals or halves or quarters or fractions, but actually gives me a single whole number as my unit of measurement. That gives me a very, very precise idea of how long or heavy or the capacity of something. And I want to show you an example right here. I took my iPhone and used my measurement right here. When I measured using inches, I got 4 6/10 inches. So I ended up having a decimal here. So it's not a whole 4 inches, it's not a whole 5 inches, it's 4 6/10. And that's accurate. But when I talk about precise, I want to use a unit of measurement that may be able to give me an exact number, how many specific units of measurement it is. If I switch it over to centimeters, which is a smaller unit of measurement in the metric system, I get that this is exactly 12 centimeters. So it's a little bit more precise because now I'm like, instead of giving a decimal or a fraction or a part of a unit of measurement, I'm actually giving a precise actual amount, which is 12 centimeters. So it's a little more precise using centimeters because they're a smaller unit of measurement. So when you want to be more precise, you want to use a smaller unit of measurement when you're doing your measurements.